What's up, guys? Welcome back again to your Heroclix headquarters. Today, we're finally going to be starting our full set review of Wheels of Vengeance, starting with the commons as always. So without further ado, let's get right to it. We have here the number 1 Ghost Rider, who looks pretty awesome. I'll give him that. I love the chain wrapped around him. Looks like he's grabbing it, like he just whipped somebody with it or is about to. I don't know. One thing I will say is I do wish the skull on this one had a little bit of like white on it, just to like make it stand out a little bit more. But regardless, it does look pretty cool, and it's got the glow base, so his head will glow in the dark and everything. And yeah, it's a pretty cool dial too. We'll take a look at here. So he's, first of all, got Champions, Heroes for Hire, Legion of Monsters, Marvel Knights, Midnight Suns, Monster and Mystical, Mystic's team ability. He's got Precision Strike, Quake, and Giant Reach 3 on his special attack power, combined with Exploit Weakness. 65 points. Improved targeting characters is actually really cool. It does help with his 4 range, but also it helps with the Quake and Giant Reach of 3, because that means he can see through all the characters for the Quake Giant Reach as well. So he can hit everybody within 3 squares of him with a 2 damage exploit Precision Strike Quake, which is pretty freaking amazing in my opinion. You got 8 movement on the charge, so you can charge 4 and do all that with 3 Giant Reach is pretty great. I think for 65 points, he's pretty solid. He's going to be really good in sealed. I think he, could be a lot of fun to play with, especially in like Pulp or something like that. He's not too complicated. He's a great like beginner figure because he can really get in there and do some damage. And the later half of his dial here, having the Steel Energy and Shape Change, are some pretty good options for, some of the pilots, some of the pilot traded characters where they can take the attack and damage powers of whoever is piloting them. So yeah, he's a pretty good option for that. And I think he's just really cool in general. I like him a lot. I think he's a great like number 1 common Ghost Rider. But that's all I really have to say about him. He's pretty basic. Probably the only downside is he's pretty basic. I would maybe like a click of Invuln at the top would have been nice too. But regardless, he's pretty great for what he is. Next up, we've got Robbie Reyes. And this is just a regular Robbie, which is pretty cool. It's not like Ghost Ridered out in this version. It's just him, which is pretty cool. I wish we would have got more of that. Like, would have been cool to have just a regular Johnny Blaze, whatever. But anyway, Avengers Mystical Vehicle keywords, Avengers Team Ability, so you can get that +1 attack on certain targets. Perplex, but only to modify speed. When Robbie Reyes uses it to target a character with the vehicle keyword, he may instead modify speed +2, and until your next turn, the targeted character has Mystics. So that's pretty awesome. +2 to speed, give somebody Mystics. That can be anybody with the vehicle keyword, but if you use that on himself too, he can give himself Mystics from that, just perplex his defense up or something if you have to. Or he could +2 his own speed, so he could actually charge in there on somebody, with that Precision Strike to get some damage in. And that's pretty much all he has. Wait, it says say Mystics here. That's interesting. I guess it's explaining what the Mystics team ability is for his effect. He doesn't actually have the team ability. That's pretty cool. But yeah, he's a nice little, only 40 or 20 points. He kind of makes like a nice little secondary attacker at 40 points, and 20 points, he's really just there for the Perplex. And you can't really beat a 20-point Perplex, especially one that just gives you Mystic's team ability, at least if you have the vehicle keyword. I think time will tell if this guy will get any better, because one of the downsides to his thing is like most of the good vehicle keyworded characters in the set already have Mystics, so you're not really getting a whole lot there. But, regardless, just giving himself Mystics or just having a 20-point Perplex for an Avengers team or something like that, it definitely has its uses. So, especially for a common, I think he's pretty good and could definitely see a lot of play in Pulp. But next up, we've got the Daywalker himself, Blade. This common Blade is actually pretty ridiculous. I got my butt kicked by one of these things in a freaking sealed game that, the thing was, he just kept rolling super senses and shape change. Like, I could never touch this guy. It was ridiculous. But anyway, he's got the team player team ability, so he's a wild card, can copy other team abilities. Avengers, Marvel Knights, Midnight Suns, Monster, Mystical, and Police keywords. Super senses and willpower traded. It was really good. And then, yeah, that's pretty much all he's got. Just some basic powers. Hypersonic blades. is pretty good now that you can actually use that together. For 85 points, 18 toughness with shape change and super senses is pretty hard to get through. But for 45 points, he's also really great with charge blades, combat reflexes. He's still got the shape change, super senses, willpower, and he can still copy team abilities. So he's really good. I like him at both point values. He's kind of just like a really strong common figure. He's really good in sealed. I think he does have some potential in pulp as well, just because good stats and power combos. He's at least fun, if nothing else. He can make a pretty good pilot. He's got like steel energy exploit or blades shape change. So there's some pretty cool stuff you could do there. But I think he's pretty playable at both point values and just a lot of fun either way. Next up, we've got Werewolf. Of course, howling at the moon there, looking awesome. And I think the main reason you're going to see these guys on the map is probably your opponent is playing a Cap Wolf team, because he gets to like generate 3 of these out of nowhere at the beginning. But animal, monster, mystical keywords. Got the moon trait. So at the beginning of your turn, roll a d6 for all friendly characters with a moon trait. Werewolf can use the resulting effect until your next turn. On 1 through 4, he gets shape change, or on a 5 or 6, you can get +1 attack and flurry. So that's pretty awesome. 30 or 15 points, not too bad. Pretty good at both point values again, charge, blades, willpower. Either way, you got 10 attack blades, 2 damage with Battle Fury. 6 movement with charge isn't a whole lot better than 6 movement with sidestep. I might actually prefer the sidestep in some cases. But, the willpower is nice, but the combat reflex is also really good for when he actually gets up there to fight people. 15 points, I think he's kind of better, honestly. But the 30-point line, not bad either. And getting potential shape change as well does give him another rollout, which again, having like a 19 with shape change up close is pretty annoying to deal with. So yeah, you definitely need at least like 3 of these guys for Cap Wolf if you're lucky enough to get a Cap Wolf. But otherwise, just having a few of these guys for any type of random, animal, monster, or mystical team filler, I think is pretty nice. Literally just throw them on there for 15 points and, have somebody carry them up there. They can like sidestep up, potentially get some damage with the blades. They got like combat reflexes, shape change, so they'll be annoying to hit and deal with. So yeah, overall, definitely playable, I think. Like I said, especially because Cap Wolf makes them, but they're pretty solid on their own. But up next, we've got Howard the Duck. Howard the freaking Duck right here. Looks more like Donald Duck to me. Howard the freaking Duck right here. He kind of looks more like Donald Duck to me, honestly, this sculpt. You could probably easily mod one of those into a Donald Duck if you really wanted to do like a Disney set or something. But he's got team player, defenders, animal, celebrity, martial artist, mystical, and politician keywords. Quack shot, ranged combat expert, probability control, but only to target himself. He does have a 10 attack precision strike, so he'd be 11 for 2 with precision strike. Perplex it up to a 12 maybe, have prob on it. For 30 points, that's not bad. Plus he can make range attacks while adjacent. 5 range is actually pretty long nowadays. And I love the stealth combat reflexes combo. So yeah, I mean, for 30 points, not too bad. He's just kind of a cheap little perplex figure that can actually do a little bit of damage himself. Plus, if he can copy a decent team ability, he'll be able to do even more for you. So I think he's pretty good for that. He also gets some outwit later with some sidestep, which is pretty good. So yeah, I mean, for 30 points, he's no Scott Porter, right? But he's still a decent little figure. Definitely has his uses, pulp and sealed for sure. And up next, we've got a zombie. And who doesn't love a generic zombie? I had so many of the Zuvembis from the Amazing Spider-Man set, and I always wanted to get a ton of the zombies from the Undead set, but I never got a chance to get many of those. But yeah, you gotta love just having a bunch of random generic zombies running around. And one thing I love about this one is it has Underworld, so it can carry another zombie with hit, or really anything with a monster or mystical keyword. Now, if there's anything less than 20 points, you can carry 2 of them. I guess with mystical, you got the 15-point werewolves, so this zombie could carry 2 werewolves with it, is a possibility, I guess. Anyway, they have this trait that when they're KO'd after resolutions, you can generate a grave-hindering terrain marker in their square. They last occupied, protected pulse wave, and they can start the game on any one of the green starting lines. So for 20 points, you either get sidestep and power with an 11 attack, 1 damage, or you get some charge and shape change, Man, they got 11 attack all the way down no matter what, and 17 defense. Or you get some invuln and poison with a 3 damage on that one. So basically, I kind of like this one a lot. 20 points for sidestep and empower, not bad at all. You're upping your whole team's damage value that way, carrying people around with you maybe. I also like this dial because they got the charge and shape change, so they got some more, a rollout, so they might not get hit, but they also have a little more reach with the charge and everything. This one's not bad either, just run them up in there and just start poisoning stuff. And they've got 3 damage to actually hit with, so they're good damage potential there, and they can take a hit with the invuln too. So I think all dials have their place for what you want to do with them. They all have some playability for only 20 points. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. And they're zombies, so of course you want to have like a million of them, right? I would love to just get like 100 of this guy. Okay, maybe not 100, maybe like 10 of them, right? That'd be 200 points. 15 of them, let's say 300 point team of just zombies, 15 zombies. Doesn't even seem like enough, honestly, but it would just be fun to run a huge zombie swarm against somebody, I think. I do wish they had something like the old Zuvembis, where if they KO somebody, you can make another zombie in their spot. That would be so much fun. That was really the best part about that. If I remember correctly, I think Dracula in the rares actually makes vampires when he KOs somebody, so it would have been cool to see somebody do that with the zombies, but oh well. Regardless, they're zombies, they're awesome and fun. Gotta love it. Next up, we've got a generic mummy, which I did not expect to see, but I am glad to see it. I do love, those generic monsters and everything, so getting a mummy is pretty cool too. And they're not too bad. They have a pretty long dial for 30 points, and they've got invincible, and they can't be healed or chosen for mastermind. That's kind of the only downside, but monster mystical past ruler. And yeah, they just can't be healed or masterminded on. But for 30 points, you got 6 clicks of invincible. And they're really slow, though. Sidestep, super strength. It's like they have they can take a big hit. They got lots of damage potential because they could hit for like 5 damage with some terrain. They got, just sidestep to really move around. They got close combat expert over here. So lots of damage potential, and they can take a hit. Only 16 defense, though. They're definitely going to take a hit, so they better be able to take that hit. It just sucks they can't be healed or anything, and definitely sucks they can't be masterminded onto, or else they'd be super broken. But anyway, as is, I think they play like a mummy. The dial is, spot on to what I would think a mummy would do, right? Every time they're in a movie or something, they're always just really slow, and it doesn't really matter what you hit them with because they're already dead. They just take the hit. So I think it works really well, and they're really fun. All right, next up, we've got Fire Demon, who looks pretty awesome. Another one of the glow figures, one of only 2. I think it's just the Ghost Rider and this guy are the only glow figures in the commons. But taking a look at his card here, he's got Mystics team ability, Asgardian, Monster, and Mystical keywords, 45 points. Once per turn, when an opposing character deals damage to Fire Demon, if that damage wasn't from an attack, after resolutions, deal that opposing character 1 penetrating damage. So it's pretty much if he just runs up and hits somebody with, like Mystics, then he just deals them a damage back for it. But also, it's really cool because that can hurt them back if they poison him, or if they I don't think knockback damage technically comes from the character. I think that's by game mechanics, so it won't actually do it for knockback, I don't believe, but it will do it for poison and any other type of damage that's not an attack, which I can't really think of any right now particularly, but if they have a special effect, there's some characters that's outwit when they use it, you can deal a damage and stuff like that. That's not an attack, so boom, there you go. Anyway, charge, 11 attack blades, super senses, 3 damage, flight, not bad for 45 points, pretty decent dial length. Nothing too crazy. The Mystics is nice too, but they're just a kind of a cool little generic. I wish they were a little bit cheaper on points. 45, kind of a lot nowadays. Kind of feel like he should be doing a little bit more for that. And also being a Fire Demon, I wish he had some range is my biggest nitpick. I wish he had maybe a 3 or 4 range, maybe starting with or maybe having an alternate dial here cut off that had a running shot energy explosion click or something before he got into the charge blades. That would be cool too, just throw a fireball at him, right? He's a Fire Demon, or breathe fire on him, I don't know. But regardless of that, he's a fun little generic. Up next, we've got another generic vampire. I love all the generics in this set, I really do. And Vampire looks pretty cool, pretty Nosferatu looking there. So yeah, he's got Vampire Brood, which is a new keyword, and Monster. And then Vampire starts the game on click number 3. Steal energy. When Vampire uses it, he may heal past his starting line. So Vampire Dial, we've seen it a million times. Actually, I want to say, has Vampire Brood been in the game before? Let me know if it was in like the Undead set or something like that. I can't remember. I honestly don't remember there being a vampire keyword. I feel like it's new. I might be wrong on that. I just thought about that. But anyway, I mean, he's got flight, starts with stealth, blades, toughness, and shape change, goes into some flurry, precision strike, and, still toughness, shape change with 4 damage, though, on the flurry. So they do get pretty strong for 25 points. They just have to hit first. They gotta get that steal energy to heal up a couple clicks first. But, yeah, I mean, not too bad. 25 points. Again, I kind of wish they were maybe like 20 points or something, because like maybe if he had charge or sidestep so he could get in there and get in the fight first, that would be cool. But it is what it is. I mean, stealth, blades, toughness, shape change, that's all pretty vampire-y too. So, not bad. I think really the main reason you want these guys is just to play with Dracula anyway. Like, I probably wouldn't just throw these guys onto like a monster team for any reason unless I'm specifically like playing Dracula or something. So again, they're just a fun little generic. But next up, we've got an actual character this time, Night Nurse, which I mainly know her best from like, the Netflix shows, Daredevil and all that. And she's 20 points. And I will say at first I was like, 20 points. She's going to have to be really good for just being, basically a support character, because we already got Aunt May for 10 points. And if you want support on anybody else, you can just give them Indigo Ring for 10 points. So for 20 points, she better be pretty good. And I think she lives up to the 20 points. She's got Defenders, Heroes for Hire, Marvel Knights, and Scientist keywords. She has support, and adjacent friendly characters that share a keyword with Night Nurse can reduce penetrating damage, which is pretty good, I think. Especially with Scientists, that's a pretty big keyword there. You got characters like Iron Man and Spider-Man and stuff, so when they have like their impervious, invuln, toughness, whatever, she can be adjacent to them and reduce penetrating damage for them. Pretty awesome. And then her actual dial isn't too bad either. She's got stealth to keep herself safe, and then she has some defend, which, does let her defend other people up to an 18, which isn't too bad. You used to love the old defend support combo when defend was like they'd have defend for like a 15 or 16, because you used to have to actually roll the attack roll for support, and that would help you, make that attack roll easier. But it's nice to see somebody that can have support and defend and actually have a high defense with defend. 18's not super high nowadays, but it's, higher than some people would have. Better than a 17 or, 15, 16, that's for sure. So I think she definitely has a role on a team for 20 points. The support's nice, but it's really the can reduce penetrating damage thing, which if you keep her close enough to enough characters that share keywords with her that all happen to have some type of damage reducer, she's definitely gonna, earn her points that way for sure. Next up, we've got the Yeti. So just another generic, basically. Pretty cool looking sculpt on this guy, looks like a big gorilla or something about to, bam, smack down somebody. But yeah, so a cool generic here. Animal, Brute, Monster, Mystical. Modify Yeti's defense +1 for each action token they have. So I do believe that means their action tokens. So if it has 2 action tokens on it, it gets +2 defense. So they'd have a 19 top dial. Blades, Claws, Fangs, and Super Strength. Makes sense. They got sharp claws and fangs, or they can just pick up a boulder and smack you with it. Charge, Toughness, Battle Fury with a giant reach too is pretty good. And that's pretty much all they got going on. 45 points. Don't forget they'll have that, giant size willpower to keep them going as well. So, that actually kind of hinders them with their special there that wants them to keep action tokens on them to get that +1 defense. But I guess, you would pretty much keep at least 1 token on them at all times. So they'll probably at least have a +1 defense. It could actually help that. I guess it really just depends on how your willpower rolls go for how many tokens they keep on them at all times. Because if you miss the first one and then you get like everyone after that, it's basically going to be like 1 action token and then, 2 action tokens. You get the willpower, and then you get the second token, you get the willpower, you get the second token. So they stay at 2 and have a 19 defense forever. That would be ideal. So yeah, I just think they're another cool generic figure. All right, and last but certainly not least, in fact, probably most, the best common probably here in this set is Frenchie at number 12. So he is he's really good. I'm glad we finally got him for one thing, but we'll take a look here. He's got detective, pilot, soldier, and vehicle keywords. The reason he's so good here is this trait. At the beginning of the game, he may choose a friendly character with a vehicle keyword that hasn't been chosen by another Frenchie. If you do, turn Frenchie to any click and place him on the chosen character's card. This game, that character can use the powers displayed on Frenchie's dial, and when the chosen character is KO'd, place Frenchie into the square that character last occupied on click number 1. So yeah, 25 points. Basically, you can put any of these 3 power sets onto any character with the vehicle keyword. So you can either give them Stealth, Energy Explosion, Perplex, or Precision Strike, Willpower, Enhancement, or Sidestep and Close Combat Expert. So even though these other 2 options give you 3 powers to work with, I actually think the Sidestep and Close Combat Expert is the strongest combo there. I mean, those are just 2 very powerful powers to have right now, and they work best, you know, for a lot of the like actual good vehicle keyword characters, to give them that extra, you know, attack and damage with the Close Combat Expert, and the extra movement with the Sidestep is just so good. I'd say probably the Perplex and Stealth is maybe the next best one, but you know, the Precision Strike, Willpower, and Enhancement also, depending, it really just depends on who you put it on, you know what I mean? It's just 3 really good options either way, and depending on what the dial looks like of whoever you're trying to, you know, put him on, you know, it's gonna make that choice that much easier for what's gonna be the best in that situation. But yeah, I think he's really, really good. Like, there's so many possible combos you can pull off with him, with all the vehicle characters we just got in this set, and I'm sure there's going to be more to come. I will say, you know, 25 points is kind of a lot, but you're giving somebody a lot of powers. So really, it's kind of just like an expensive equipment, you know. Plus, you know, he hops out as soon as that person gets KO'd on click number 1. So unless your opponent's prepared for that, you can maybe get a, you know, Perplex his attack up and get an energy explosion off on somebody. That wouldn't be too bad either. And it's like 25 points that isn't really on the board that your opponent can't score. They can't just go KO Frenchie because he's hiding in the starting area. He's actually like in another character, kind of. He's piloting them, sort of. So anyway, he's really, really strong. He's really good for a lot of reasons. I think he's only going to get better as we get more vehicle keyworded characters. And, you know, with characters like Scott Porter and Miss Marvel and other things that can, like, you know, steal keywords and be whatever keyword they want. There's some interesting potential there to like have Miss Marvel be piloted by him or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, he's just, I think, my favorite common of the whole set. I think you're going to see a lot of him played. I've already got a couple teams built with him. So, and last thing I want to mention is I heard a funny thing that if you have just like a bunch of these dudes, you know, you can have one pilot the next, pilot the next, pilot the next, and just have like an infinite string of Frenchies popping out as soon as one is KO'd. So, I mean, I think it'd be kind of ridiculous using all your points just to do that, but it'd be fun. It would be hilarious. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that possibility. But anyway, like I said, he's my favorite of the commons. And that's going to do it for this video, you guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure you smash that like button. It does help me out a lot. Don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. And if you'd like to help support the channel even more, check the links in the description for our Patreon, or hit the join membership for the YouTube members. Either way, for as little as $1 a month, you get entered into our monthly giveaways and get to see your name here in the credits with all these other awesome people. So if that interests you, make sure to check that out. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you again so much for watching, and until next time, this has been Heroclix Headquarters, signing off.